Welcome to another episode of Auto Mundial, the weekly car news and review show where this week we're checking out the latest Mercedes E-Class to see if it has what it takes to beat the Audi A6 and BMW 5 Series.
We also have SUVs from Audi and Volkswagen and Shelby's latest fire-breathing muscle car, the GT500.
That's all coming up. First though,
Aston Martin has confirmed that its future electric cars will be built in the UK rather than overseas in Germany by its business partner Mercedes-Benz. Speaking to the Financial Times, the newly appointed chairman Lawrence Stroll said new EV Astons will soon be built at its existing factories in Gaydon in Warwickshire and St Athan in South Wales. While we've already seen an electric version of the Rapide saloon car, an electrically powered sports car is expected by 2025. In other EV news, Volvo has announced that by 2030 its entire lineup will be electrified, with all EV sales being pushed online rather than in dealerships. Electric models like the newly revealed C40 will be among the first of the Swedish brand's cars to be offered with no internal combustion options. Volvo is aiming to phase out all petrol and diesel cars by the end of the decade, including hybrids.
it's no secret that car buyers are the driving force for the raft of SUVs on the market right now. Every manufacturer seems to build at least one, with everything from super mini-sized crossovers to giant luxury SUVs filling showrooms around the world. But it seems to be the German manufacturers who are really cashing in on the SUV bandwagon. They all have comprehensive SUV ranges for all budgets. And just when you thought Audi had every sort of SUV niche covered, they give us this. The Q3 Sportback. A response to the BMW X4 and Mercedes GLC Coupe, the Sportback is a coupe version of the successful Q3. Now, we know this won't be everyone's cup of tea, but objectively this is a rather handsome looking car. Gloss black, grey or body-coloured exterior detailing helps to create a sporty look, while the typical sloping roofline helps the Sportback to really stand out against the regular, more sensible standard Q3. Inside the cabin, everything you touch feels premium and built to last. It's far from the poshest interior in Audi's range, but in this class it's more than competitive. Interestingly, and unlike any other coupe SUV we can think of, the Sportback doesn't really compromise luggage space. Measured up to the parcel shelf, the Sportback's 530-litre capacity is exactly the same as the regular Q3's, although the sloping roofline will mean taller items may not fit as easily. It somewhat lives up to its name too, with all Sportbacks coming with sport suspension as standard. There's a range of petrol and diesel options available, as well as a sporty RS Q3 version with nearly 400 brake horsepower. A decent attempt then at a compact coupe SUV. But how does it compare to its main rivals, the BMW X4 and Mercedes GLC Coupe?
Well, once again, BMW has divided opinion with the styling of the X4, but chances are that if you like the Q3 Sportback, you'll probably like this. Now in its second generation, the X4 uses X3 running gear with styling reminiscent of the bigger X6. Like the Audi, the BMW gets a range of petrol and diesel options. However, those looking for real performance can have it dialed up to 503 brake horsepower in the X4M. Capable of 0 to 62 in just 4.1 seconds, it's a genuine performance car and a real match for the RS Q3. The interior is superb too, with top quality fit and finish throughout and the latest BMW iDrive system. For our money though, the best interior in this class must belong to the Mercedes GLC. Like the majority of the brand's current lineup, the cabin is dominated by a delicate flowing centre console, available with wonderful open pore wood trims. In true Mercedes fashion, the infotainment looks like a bit of an afterthought, carelessly plonked on top of the otherwise beautifully sculpted dash. It works well though, with touchscreen functionality as well as the A-Class's touchpad system. It gets possibly the most extensive range of engines in this class, with everything from a diesel hybrid to a 500 horsepower V8 in the AMG 63 version.
Who got the power? Who got the juice? Me, I'm like the bionic man running loose. Yeah. We're making chains, stack papes and getting loot. Bad boys always eat forbidden fruit. Yeah. Everybody's gotta take an L someday.
And then there's this, the Range Rover Evoque, one of the most popular cars in the small premium SUV market. It certainly has style on its side since its recent facelift. The cabin is excellent too, with lots of fancy trim and leather on show. The design is as smooth and elegant as the exterior, while the 3 screens mean the tech is up to scratch against any rival system. The improved interior space will ensure its continued popularity among family buyers, as will the improved ride and refinement. It's noticeably quieter than the old car, helped by the addition of a new 48-volt mild hybrid system in all but the base spec diesel versions and the plug-in hybrid version.
The Audi Q3 Sportback is perhaps then not just a great coupe SUV pick, but also a better choice than a regular Q3. It looks great, gets tons of kit and barely loses out on practicality. It'll cost a fraction more than the regular car, but it's a small price to pay for those striking good looks.
Mercedes-Benz doesn't usually go too wild with its facelifts. A bit of updated tech, some restyled body panels and a few new options in the paint booth and jobs are good. But the new Mercedes E-Class is different. The brand's best-selling model, which has sold over 14 million units since its inception in the 1950s, is one of the market's go-to executive saloons. However, this facelift is more than you might realise at first glance. That's because the major changes here are on the tech side. Yes, the styling has been tweaked here and there, but the list of driver aids is what Merc is shouting about most. Some of the standard features include brake assist, parking assist and blind spot assist. There's also an optional driver assistance package that includes speed limit monitoring and stop-start assistance. There are also some new engine choices. There's a total of 7 plug-in hybrids across the range, available in petrol and diesel, and rear or all-wheel drive. And if that doesn't cause consumers to scratch their heads, there are also other models that feature 48-volt mild hybrid tech and integrated starter generators. Power ranges between 154 and 362 horsepower for regular cars, with the top-of-the-range E63 AMG pumping out over 600 brake horsepower. But it's the tech on this car that stands out. One of the new features is an updated MBUX, or Mercedes-Benz User Experience. Simply put, the cockpit can be individualised and adapts to the user via artificial intelligence. This infotainment package includes 2 10.25-inch widescreen displays. The central one responds to touch, voice or trackpad control, as well as augmented reality sat-nav that we first saw on the new A-Class. And if 10 inches isn't large enough, each screen can be upgraded to 12.3 if you spec your car correctly. The cabin also features a new steering wheel design with capacitive sensors. In other words, the car now knows that the driver is alert without making small steering inputs.
So if the tech-filled E-Class isn't for you, what other big German saloons are there? It's been an ongoing competition between 3 German marques for decades. There's the Merc, and then the BMW 5 Series and the Audi A6. Beginning with the BMW then, and like the Merc, the 5 Series features several engine options. There's a pair of petrol plug-in hybrids and a handful of petrol and diesels, as well as the full-fat M5. Inside, the 5 Series shares much of its styling with the brand's flagship 7 Series limo, including the latest iDrive system, gesture control and semi-autonomous driving features. So, how about the Audi A6? Well, it may have fewer engines to choose from, but they all feature a mild hybrid system. Inside, Audi has certainly splashed out on the standard equipment. Even the entry-level sport model is equipped with leather seats, dual-zone climate control, ambient LED interior lighting and keyless go.
Competition for the E-Class then is as fierce as it ever was, but this latest version is among the best saloons on the market and more than a match for BMW and Audi.
After the break, the new fast Touareg and the latest Shelby Mustang. Still to come, Mustang versus Demon. But first,
it's been nearly 2 decades now since we first saw Volkswagen's first attempt at a production SUV. It was part of a VW Group platform share with Audi and Porsche to create an off-road vehicle that handled like a saloon car. The Touareg entered production in 2002 and was joined by the Audi Q7 and Porsche Cayenne. And 19 years later, it's still punching above its weight, offering a cut-price alternative to the likes of the Lamborghini Urus and Bentley Bentayga, with which it shares a platform. And like the Audi RS Q8 and the Porsche Cayenne Turbo S, it was only a matter of time before the VW Group souped up its own flagship SUV. So, you'd expect that, like as with the Audi or Porsche, the new Touareg would have a twin-turbo V8 to boost power and price tag. But you'd be wrong. That's because the new VW Touareg R is powered by a 3-litre turbocharged V6 petrol engine with a 14-kilowatt lithium-ion battery for good measure. This means it's the first plug-in hybrid to carry VW's R badge. The result is 456 brake horsepower to all 4 wheels through the permanent 4-wheel drive system. This is certainly a lot of power, but not nearly as much as you'll find in an RS Audi or Lamborghini Urus. The 0 to 62 time is around 5 seconds, meaning it misses out on the neck-snapping acceleration of a Cayenne Turbo, but it's definitely no slouch. New exterior features include exclusive R-style bumpers front and back, as well as various bits of swanky black trim. In fact, without the bright blue paintwork on this car, the Touareg R would be rather stealthy. Climb inside and you're greeted by various big screens. A 12-inch unit sits in front of the driver, while a huge 15-inch touchscreen is cradled in the centre console. On top of this, there's a plethora of driving modes, from eco through to sport and even off-road and snow options. All this looks very promising, but the Touareg R is not alone in the sporty plug-in SUV category.
one option is one of the Touareg stablemates, the Cayenne. In particular, the Porsche Cayenne E Hybrid. As its predecessor did in 2002, the Cayenne E Hybrid utilises the same platform as the Touareg. With 455 brake horsepower, it has roughly the same power as the VW and has a similar top speed of 157 miles per hour. The interior is more upmarket, but uses much of the same equipment as the VW. But what about options from outside the VW stable? The Volvo XC90 T8 seems like the perfect candidate. A PHEV SUV with a 30-mile electric range and 7 seats. It blends typical Volvo practicality with minimalist Scandinavian style beautifully, with a light, airy cabin and modern design. The XC90 T8 has around 400 horsepower, but it can still reach 62 from rest in 5.3 seconds. It's the most practical too, with 3 rows of seats and acres of boot space.
The Touareg R then is an interesting entry point into the large performance SUV market. It may not quite have the straight line speed of the BMWs, Porsches and Audis, but it's subtle and classy and still packs a punch.
While manufacturers around the world are downsizing engines, making use of turbos and hybrid technology, it seems that over in the United States they didn't get the memo. Apparently the big three, GM, Chrysler and Ford, don't know the meaning of the word downsizing, and things have escalated into something of a power war. And this is Ford's latest muscle car offering to rumble its way out of Detroit. The 2021 Shelby GT500, the flagship Mustang. Slotting in above the now defunct GT350, which in itself was no shrinking violet, the 500 turns everything up to 11. Ford claims that the new Shelby GT500 will surprise supercar owners with its racing tech, supercharged engine and visceral swagger. Well, we can certainly believe that. The 5.2-litre supercharged V8 pumps out an outrageous 749 brake horsepower, surging the big Mustang from 0 to 62 miles per hour in around 3 seconds and making it the most powerful Ford production car ever made. The styling's had an upgrade too, with a gaping mouth at the front for increased airflow, a GT4 spec aero package and some signature Shelby stripes. And for 2021, there are some new colours to choose from and some optional carbon bits for good measure. Gone are the days of simple muscle cars, as the GT500 proves with some very clever engineering. It has the largest brake rotors ever fitted to an American car, and the 7-speed dual-clutch automatic gearbox is good for 100 millisecond shifts. Ford claims a quarter-mile time of 11 seconds, putting it right into the firing line of the current pony car to beat, the infamous Dodge Challenger Hellcat. It's down on power versus the Mustang at a mere 707 brake horsepower. But don't be fooled, the Hellcat is built for the drag strip. Quarter-mile times are in the Shelby's ballpark, but it can't quite beat it in the 0 to 60 sprint.
But if you do feel the need to get to the 60-mile-per-hour mark in under 3 seconds, Dodge will also sell you what might be the maddest car in the world right now, the Demon. Essentially an even more focused version of the Hellcat, the Demon is every bit as intimidating as its name would suggest. The 6.2-litre V8 puts out 840 brake horsepower in its most aggressive tune, meaning sub-3 second 0 to 62 sprints and sub-10 second quarter-mile times. It's full of neat drag racing details. The launch control is activated via the paddles rather than the brake pedal for quicker reaction times, while a button on the dash adjusts the car's tune so it can run on 100-octane race fuel. It really is incredible that the Demon can wear a set of number plates. It's been on a strict diet too. The heavy rear bench seat has been replaced with some much lighter air, as has the front passenger seat. Both are available as options for just $1 each, but they aren't the best $1 options on this car. Oh no, because the Demon race kit is probably the best dollar you'd ever be likely to spend. For the princely sum, you get a VIN-matched bespoke crate of racing goodies, including some super lightweight skinny front wheels wrapped in drag radials.
So how can the Shelby hope to compete? Well, unlike the Demon, the Mustang isn't just a one-trick pony. Where the Dodge is built for going fast, the GT500 is built for fast drivers. More at home at the circuit than on the strip, the latest Shelby is a true track car, capable of keeping up with the best of its European competition. Yet it's also a perfectly usable everyday road car. It has B&O hi-fi, optional electric seats, and all the luxuries you'd expect in a regular Mustang. So while Dodge may still be winning the power war, it's the big stripy Shelby that wins overall.
Join us again next week on Auto Mundial as we look at a stylish new electric car from Kia, the Soul EV.